not just thinking about yourself, but you're also thinking about the next 10 generations to come. Are we here? You're thinking about the next thousands of generations to come. So, in as much as you are doing something and it's not meeting the need of the next 10 generations to come, it's not at the standpoint of sustainability. Okay. Oh, sorry. So, the first point on my list here is called, I call it mulching. For those who care to understand just like the agricultural standards, it's called mulching. Now, mulching is just like a means of covering the soil. Are you listening? It's just a means of covering the soil to preserve the nutrients. Thank you. Yeah. It's a means of covering the soil to preserve the nutrient and also to preserve the impact of rainfall. Now, when deforestation occurs, what this tree does, you know that trees have have you seen trees that have big roots that spread around? Now, their function is to hold the soil together. But by the time these trees are falling off, what happens? The soil becomes what? Loose. So a soil that can be fertile, a fertile virgin forest, can lose its fertility, destroying the trees there. And by the time you destroy the trees, when rain fall, take for example, now if I put powder outside, if rain fall, what will happen? It will wash away. If I put sand, I just decide to just dig sand out and put it outside. If rain fall, it's going to what? It's going to wash away. That's what will happen. It's going to wash away. So what mulching does is that it reduces the impact of rainfall on a soil. So for an example, for an already cultivated soil, a cultivated land you have, you can mulch. And how do you mulch? You mulch using, there's what you call live mulch. There are some plants that you can plant, like take for example, soya beans, what the rest, like that. They are like these plants. Let's say potato now. Potato spreads, so they reduce the impact of like rainfall on the land. Then also they reduce the effect of heat. When sun shines, the temperature of the earth increases, right? Yes. So what this thing does is that they reduce the temperature because they are helping to block the obstruction of sun directly on the ground. Are we following? Number two, I'll call it minimum tillage. Now, for people that don't like to do hire laborers and they want to call tractors like to come and do this, there's minimum tillage is like the required amount of tillage to be done after which you can like plant. So take for example now, we have primary tillage, we have secondary tillage. Primary tillage is just like when you do immediately after harvest or at the beginning of a new planting season. So an example of primary tillage is what you call plowing. So take for example, you bring in a tractor to plow the land. That it turns the soil. You've seen tractors that turns the soil now, a lot of times. So when they turn the soil, automatically the soil becomes loose. So imagine you do that kind of process like 4 times. What do you think will happen to that soil? It will become loose. They will not be held together again. And when rain falls, what happens? They are being washed away. That's the end. The topsoil that holds the nutrient matter is being washed away. Nothing is left. Number 3 is crop rotation. Crop rotation is just like I decided to plant maize this year on this particular land. Next season, I decided to plant like soya beans. Now it's like you are changing crop on a period basis. Now the reason we do this is that, take for example, maize. Maize needs high nitrogen content for it to grow. Now if you keep planting maize, at the end of the day, a high percentage of the nitrogen content in that soil is gone. You will see that the next 2 planting seasons, the maize will not do well. Because a lot of nitrogen content has been taken away. But imagine I should plant maize in this year now, and next season I should plant soya bean. Now there are some plants that are called nitrogen fixing plants. They help to fix nitrogen into the soil. So if I decide to plant maize this year and decide to plant nitrogen fixing plant, legumes like beans, soya beans, and like this, the rest, you can check that online. I decide to plant them. Now those plants will help to fix like to fix back the amount of nitrogen that has been taken up by the previous maize. Now that is bringing about a balance in the ecosystem. Are we following? Are we following? Because there's something you call nutrient mining. Nutrient mining is like taking more than, like when you're taking a higher percent of like nutrients from something without returning it back. It's just like engineers now, when they go to mine, when they take the crude oil, do they return it back? They don't return it back. So that we call nutrient mining. So when nutrient mining occurs, the next plant you are come to plant there will not have the nutrients it needs. So it's not only nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium that the plant uses. There are other nutrients that the plant uses there. So number 4 is mixed cropping. Mixed cropping is like when you plant different crops on the same piece of land. Take for example, on the same piece of land, you plant maize and soya bean together. Or I decide to plant maize, cassava, and soya bean together on the same piece of land. It's called mixed cropping. But many of the times, the best form of mixed cropping is when you try to plant a plant that can supply what the other plant needs. Take for example, maize needs nitrogen. You can decide to plant soya bean beside to supply more nitrogen to the soil. Hence, mixed cropping is important. Do you understand? Do you understand? Yes. Now, okay. So, then something we call agroforestry is just like planting together plants like and trees. Now, when the standard for afforestation, if you cut a tree 3 trees back, but I'm never heard of the term poachers. Poachers. I've heard of the term poachers before. People that go into like to illegitimate like acts of maybe killing animals in the bush and cutting trees. Those are called poachers. So when the amount of trees that are being cut are more than the amount of trees that are being planted or being grown back, definitely the entire land will be affected. And it's the reason, you know that, have you ever sat down under a tree and you feel so refreshed due to the breeze? Now, compared to this area now that they've cut all the trees away and urbanization is occurring, how does it feel? It's not hot. So people will begin to use AC, artificial means, when there are natural means for you to enjoy life. Are you following? So one thing people do is that when they build houses, some people plant trees around just to like increase like cooling the atmosphere of that area. So agroforestry, you plant trees also with growing crops. Do we understand? Do we understand? Okay. Then proper drainage system. Hey, this is one of the major issues in Nigeria. With all the drainage that our government have been building since, people still experience flood. If there are proper channels for drainage system, we shouldn't be experiencing flood. An average farmer, for example, even catfish farmer that use 18 pond, when flood happens, they lose higher percentage of their fish because it just carries them away. The same thing for some particular area of land too. Like take for example now in the north, when flooding happens, their crops are destroyed, completely destroyed, and that's because they don't have structures like trees. They have few trees there. Then proper use and management of irrigation water. Yes, I know many of us like irrigation water coming from the ground, but let me tell you this. The water that is coming from the ground, the irrigation water that is coming from the ground is a major cause of salinization. Salinization is like talking about high salt content. So the water that is coming from the ground has high salt content. Now, you know that when a plant grows on a piece of place that is having like experiencing salinization, they call them saline soils, salt soil. They cannot grow. And they cannot grow is that because they experience osmosis. We did normal, is it chemistry, biology in secondary school now? Not for my hand. So it moved from a region of higher, eh? of higher concentration to what? To lower concentration, right? So the point of higher concentration should be the plant, right? But it moves from there, and so the plant cannot take water because the salt is preventing the water from going up. So, so most times what they advise people to do is that you check the salt level of your irrigation water before applying it. Always check that on a regular basis. You can do this pH test or salt salinity test. Then application of fertilizer and pesticide that's recommended with it. I'll actually not advise people to do much of application of fertilizer. I'll prefer you to go green, use manure, or there's something you call GAP, like Bosfara used to say, good agricultural practices, where you can have a mixture of the two, using fertilizers, inorganic fertilizers, and organic fertilizer. Manure is an example of organic fertilizer. So you can have a mixture of the two, but I won't advise you to use what do you call it? Inorganic fertilizer, your NPK and the likes. And the reason for that, time has gone. Please, next slide. Now, the earth is changing at a very fast rate. The world is changing at a very fast rate. And that is due to many of the environmental challenges that we are facing now, environmental degradation and the like. So this is how the earth used to look like before, very green. But now it's turning this way, turning to deserts. A lot of temperate region, a lot of temperate region are turning into savanna regions. All right, savanna regions have like few numbers of trees and the likes. For many of us that care to know about that. So, if this is the future we are envisioning in our mind, the one by the left, I think we need to change our mindset and restructure ourselves to have something more sustainable. Now, can you live in a world like that? Can you live in a world like that? No. In fact, you will not enjoy yourself at all. At all. Because take for example now, you go to just a mango tree to go and pluck fruit today. But imagine you get there now, there's no fruit on the mango tree. You yourself, you just cut it like you just cut the fig tree. Nothing there again. So that is what will happen if we don't take care of the environment. So please, next slide. So many farmers don't know what they need to do. So hence, it's more advisable to go for consultations, especially if you have no basic knowledge of these things before going into them. Because what you think you might be doing that is good might actually be destroying the environment in a negative way. Now look at this family now. They are very happy, right? It's better than seeing someone with big stomach and their poverty level is high. But at this one now, they are enjoying riches. They are enjoying the product of their harvest. And look at the environment that they have there. Very green. So let us work together to ensure the supply of food needs of present and future generations are met. Definitely. Let us ensure we work together. Because this thing is not a single man effort. It's a combined effort. Only together can we make it happen.
Great.
Thank you, sir. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you can.
Great effort. Great effort. Great effort. A round of applause for Israel, everyone. Thank you, Israel. That was great. That was great. Great. Thank you. Wow. Do we have people that have questions for Israel? Do we have questions for Israel?
Yes, we have one person at the moment, sir.
Do we have questions for Israel?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We have another one, sir. Okay.
Okay, my name is Ahmed Adekunle. So there's a particular slide it was showing us about where we can live and where we cannot live. So in our quest to envision the future, what can we do at the state level, probably at local level, at the state level, and also at the probably national level? Because due to urbanization and all now, we find that lands are becoming more smaller because of people trying to move from rural to and all. So what can we do?
The second person.
My second question is on the mixed cropping. So I have interest in cassava, but also including maize. So my number for in relation to that question, maize and cassava, can they be also mixed? And is there any other crops that can also be used in mixed farming?
I hope you get the question, sir. So the last one.
All right, sir. I think bit of agriculture. I think you talked about organic and fertilizers. So I think there is a fertilizer known as an NPK fertilizer. So I want to know that NPK fertilizer, is it an organic or inorganic? And
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
What's the first question again?
Okay, I think he was talking about what can be done, right, to have the kind of environment that we can live in based on urbanization and the likes.
Okay, go ahead.
From local to state level, okay. So, firstly, I would like to say this, that any change starts from you first. Any change you desire starts from you. Now, in order for you to move up from the local level to the state level, whether you like it or not, those people that are in power, if they don't see the essence of a particular thing, they may not support. You understand? Now, you want to have a change to have that kind of environment. That's why I said that first of all, you need to engineer your mindset and change your mindset properly. Now, how do you do that? By going ahead to study on best cultural practices to do. Now, when you do that, another form of means to now extend is by doing extension. That's why this permanent school, agric extension and communication, that is their work. So you extend to other people, educate. Our lecturer was telling us one thing in class, then I said something that, you can't tell an average farmer. Now, the reason is that by the time they compared their cost, they saw that to burn bush is faster than to hire labor to cut it. So what they advised them to do was to do spot burning. You just gather, clear a little bit, burn here, clear a little bit. So that way, you are minimizing the impact or the harm to the environment. That was an idea that came from someone. Do you understand? So it's left for you to explore your creativity and your mind and to see how you can input this thing. So once you can start from a local level, you can as well bring it into a state level, selling your ideas to people and also extending to other people. Do you answer your question? So that way you're spreading the message across. So it starts from you yourself. Yeah. Then the second question was mixed cropping, right? Yes, you can plant cassava and maize. The reason is that cassava is a deep feeder. Maize is a shallow feeder. Maize just needs the nutrient at the surface level. Now, based on, remember the soil horizon I showed you, maize just needs like between that 0 to 15 centimeter like depth. All the nutrients it needs at that level. But cassava is a deep-rooted feeder. So automatically it's not affecting your output. And also, maize does not stay as long as cassava. So maize has taken all the nutrients it needs to take, and cassava is left there. And cassava is like a very good what do you call it? Drought crop. It can survive harsh conditions. So it's an advantage for you. And there are many other crops that you can plant, but one of the most advisable ones to plant is that don't plant crops that we know that will have high level of competition. That is just like the basic thing. Then, sir, for your question, what's your question? NPK, yes. NPK, now the reason why it is inorganic is that the available form for plants to easily take up. for your organic fertilizer and manure needs to be decomposed by activity of like organisms in the soil. It needs to be broken down. So when it is broken down, it releases nutrients that the plant needs. And the reason why these organisms are breaking these nutrients down is not because of the plant. They are breaking it for their own sake. So whatever is left is what the plant takes up. So this NPK is made in a readily available form. That's why they will tell you put it close to just a little bit close to the plant roots. Do you understand? Because it can easily be like taken up by the plant. So it's a form of inorganic form. But when they ask you next time, an organic fertilizer is manure. NPK is not an organic fertilizer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for Mr. Israel. You might be wondering who is speaking background, right? So we have in our midst online, all the way from United Kingdom, our director. Please, can we jam our hands together in person of Pastor Titilayo Femi Kings? Daddy, we love you. We appreciate you. Can we make those hands bigger, bigger, bigger? He has been following from beginning down to this moment. Can we jam those big, big, big? We welcome you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, can I have everyone, the remaining people in the hall, to sit down? Now, you take the camera off stage and let everybody sit down facing me. So get your chairs, everyone. Sit from the podium. Yeah. So arrange from the podium down and listen to what I want to tell you in a few minutes, and we go. Take that flyers away, Maya.
Okay, sir. God bless.